What's poppin', everyone? It is Scout Eveleth here, bringing you another awesome video. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about how to buy a home here in the Villages, Florida. This is going to be your complete guide for how to purchase a home here in the Villages. So whether you know a little, a lot, or if you're currently living here or not, there's going to be something here for everybody. Even though this video is geared here towards the Villages, if you're looking to buy anywhere in Florida, the process will be very similar overall, but just keep in mind there will be some minor differences depending on where you are planning to purchase. Now, before we get into that, like I said, my name is Scout Eveleth. I am a licensed realtor here in the state of Florida. So if you're looking to buy in the Villages or just wanting to keep up to date on everything that's going on in the biggest and best retirement community here in the world, make sure you're subscribed. I put out new videos every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you're subscribed with the bell turned on so you don't miss out. Also, if you enjoy the video today, make sure you smash that like button. It really helps out the channel and promotes it to more wonderful people just like yourself. So with all that said, thank you so much, everyone, and let's get right into it. So today, I wanted to break down the process into a simple step-by-step guide so you know exactly what to expect and how you can best prepare yourself when you're ready to make the move. The first thing to consider when buying a home is determining how you plan to buy, and the second thing would be determining your price point or budget that you're looking to spend. Now, there are two common ways to buy a home. You can either use cash to purchase a home or a mortgage, and there's definitely pros and cons to each. If you're able to use cash, then you're going to save quite a bit of money on closing costs, and generally speaking, a cash offer is always going to be better than an offer with financing or using a mortgage. This is because it's less risky to the seller since they're not having to worry about as many financing considerations or contingencies. Just make sure if you're planning to use cash that the cash is truly available for when you're ready to purchase. The last thing you would want to happen is you're looking for your dream home and the cash is tied up in some type of investment vehicle or annuity to where it cannot easily be taken out, and you end up missing out on your dream home because of that. Unfortunately, I've seen that happen a few times where the cash was not as readily available as the people had hoped it was. So just make sure that it is in an account where it's easy to access and you're not going to have any trouble getting to it when the time comes. Now, if you're planning to finance, you should expect to pay more in closing costs, and the time to close may be a little bit longer than if you were otherwise using cash. So a cash deal can close in anywhere from 15 to 20 days, and using a mortgage may take anywhere from 30 to 45, but the closing days are pretty flexible as long as you're working with the seller, regardless of how you're planning to purchase. There are certainly more steps and considerations when you're deciding to finance, so just make sure you're keeping in mind all of the due dates and the requirements of the loan. Talk with your loan officer who you're working with or your realtor so you guys can plan for that accordingly. But as long as you're aware of all of the differences ahead of time and you're okay with that, then you should be good to go and there's no problem using a mortgage. So after you know how you're planning to buy, the next step is going to be figuring out how much you're wanting to spend. Most people generally have an idea of how much they're wanting to spend, but if you really have no idea for the areas that you're looking in, or for here in the Villages, for example, my best recommendation would be to go online and just check out some different areas and some different home types so you can have a little bit of a basis and a better understanding for what home prices are in particular areas, and that just gives you a better understanding so you can kind of know what to expect just generally. So from this point, if you are planning to finance, the next step is going to be getting pre-approved. The reason you want to do this now rather than wait is because if there is something affecting your ability to buy a home, you want to make sure you know about it as far in advance as possible so you can try and plan accordingly. Unfortunately, I've seen it too many times to count where you get excited and you want to start going to look at homes right away. So you're checking them out. Sometimes you even meet with a realtor, going to see the properties, and then you find one that you like and you decide you're ready to make an offer. So you want to go get pre-approved, and it turns out that there's an issue that you weren't aware of. So you're really let down, and unfortunately, you just wasted a lot of your own time. Also, just because you're pre-approved doesn't mean you have to buy a home before you're ready. You can always wait until the time is right before you make your big purchase. Pre-approvals are normally good for anywhere from 3 to 6 months. So if it doesn't end up working out for you right now, that's no problem at all. Just make sure you're prepared So that way it doesn't put you in a bind and you know that you're good to go ahead of time. There are plenty of great lenders here in the Villages, so be sure to shop around and see who's offering the best rates and the lowest fees. And if you didn't have somebody in mind or you didn't know where to get started, I have a lender who I recommend. It's somebody who I've worked with, and we've never had any complications, never missed any deadlines or any delayed closings or anything. So if you wanted his information, be sure to reach out and I'll certainly be happy to share that with you. Alright, so once you meet with a lender or if you have your cash ready to go, your next step is going to be finding a good realtor. Now here in the Villages, we have two paths depending on how you're planning to purchase. I just made a video on this describing the difference between an MLS and a VLS realtor, so I'll be sure to link that in the description down below. So if you haven't seen it, be sure to check it out, but I'll give you a quick description how it works here in a nutshell. So if you're planning to buy a new construction or buying a lot and having a home built, then you're going to have to work with the VLS or directly with the developer. Unfortunately, there's no way that somebody like myself can help you as much as I'd like to and maybe as much as you might like me to. But you're going to have to work directly with them, and that's just based on how the rules are set here in the Villages. Now, if you're looking to purchase a pre-owned home like one you'd find on Zillow or Realtor.com, then I'm your guy. So be sure to reach out. Just give me a call or text. My number is in the description, and I'll put it on screen here for you as well. So that way I can learn about your goals and timelines and see what I can do to maybe help you out. But above all, regardless of if you're looking to purchase a brand new home or a pre-owned home, MLS, VLS, it doesn't matter. The main thing is finding a realtor who really understands your needs, and it's somebody who you can trust and really count on. Also, I have had a few people ask me, if you are looking to purchase in Florida, it does not require legal representation, like through a lawyer, for example. Now, if you're wanting additional representation for your transaction, by all means, definitely seek legal counsel or whatever you'd like to do, but it is not a requirement like it is in some states, and I've had a few people ask me about that depending on where they're coming from, so just so you know, it is not technically a requirement, but if you'd like, you're more than welcome to seek it out. Now that you've decided if you're going to use cash or a mortgage to purchase, and you're going to work with me because I'm your guy, the very next step is working on finding you the perfect home. There are so many reasons to find a good realtor before you start home shopping, but here's a couple just in case you didn't consider them. The first reason is it's going to make your life so much easier. So in the Villages, we have 6 different levels of homes here and tons of different styles, models, all sorts of things. So depending on the area you're looking at, the size of the house you want it to be, the style, location, all these things, it's really going to make your life so much easier if you have somebody who's already a local expert versus browsing around online and kind of just trying to figure it out sort of brute force. Which brings me to reason number 2. The Villages is massive. It spans over 3 counties. It is a part of Lake, Marion, and Sumter. So again, depending on where you're looking to be and each county having its own different tax rate, pros and cons of each, you're really going to want somebody who knows the ins and outs of how this works and somebody who's just going to be a local expert to give you some good guidance and just make it easier for you to shop when you're looking for homes. The third reason is going to be we can see issues before they even become issues. And what I mean by that is working here in the Villages and having done so many deals, we know things that are likely to come up on home inspection reports just kind of by looking at them sometimes, or possible troubles that you'll have with insurance and things. So we can see a lot of these pitfalls before they even get to that point, and ultimately that will save you time and money by having somebody who can help you avoid those in the first place. The fourth reason is to give you insight on local amenities, areas, villages, things that are happening here. The Villages is always growing and expanding, so having somebody who works here and has seen it just helps and ultimately makes your life that much easier. The list just goes on and on and on, but take my word for it, be sure to find a good realtor so that way you're covered and it's just something you don't have to worry about. So now you're at the point where your realtor has been sending you homes and you've been checking out some online, and you guys have been going and checking some out in person together, and you get to the point where you feel good about a home and you think that this is the one, so now it's time to make an offer. There are definitely a few considerations when making an offer, so let's go over those now. The main things to consider when making an offer are going to be price, terms, closing date, and the inspection period. And here is where a great realtor is going to be worth their weight in gold. Now, the overall market conditions, the number of days on market, the number of homes for sale, the general desirability, and the method of purchase are all going to determine how much of a discount or premium you can expect to pay for your home. Since a lot of these factors can change pretty much daily, be sure to work with your realtor and tell them about your expectations so they can know what you're expecting and try and work with you to make sure you guys meet as many expectations as possible. There are two types of contracts here in the state of Florida. The first is going to be the as-is, and the second is going to be the standard. Now, the as-is contract assumes you will take the property as is, but because of that, it gives you more flexibility to back out if needed, if something came up in the inspection period or if there was some issues. Now, the standard contract has provisions where the seller will have to take care of any general repair items that are non-cosmetic that may come up during the inspection period. But because of that, since the seller is obligated to take care of some of the repairs and make some fixes, the buyer is not going to be able to back out of this contract near as easily. Now, this isn't super important for you to remember. Your realtor is really going to handle most of this, so don't get too focused on this, but I am briefly going to touch on this later in the video, so I wanted to make sure you had at least a basic understanding of how the two contracts work. Alright, so you've met with your realtor, you guys have decided on all the terms, you've signed the contract, and you've made your offer. Now what? Well, most of the time, your first offer does not get accepted, generally speaking. I would expect a counter offer to come back and some negotiations to happen back and forth. And then eventually, if you guys both agree, you will agree on a final price. And that could be subject to change, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But for the most part, that will be the price that is stated in the contract and the price that you guys are both agreeing to sell and purchase the home at. So your offer finally got accepted. Well, now what? So now we're going to be moving on to probably some of the most important steps throughout the whole buying process, so make sure you guys really take this in. Three things are basically going to happen all at the same time once your offer is accepted and you go under contract, is how it's commonly referred. So the first thing is you're going to need to make your escrow or good faith deposit by the due date that is outlined in the contract. And if you don't know when that is, be sure to ask your realtor, but hopefully you guys are in good communication to where you already know this ahead of time. These are considered good faith funds towards making the deal happen, and they will normally be held by some type of intermediary like the title company if that's who you guys are using it with. You can either wire the funds directly to the title company or whoever else is going to be processing your transaction, or drop off a check. Either works, but if you're going to drop off a check, just make sure ahead of time that they can accept the escrow deposit like that, so that way you're not wasting your time going over there if they're not able to. The second thing is going to be scheduling a home inspection. Now, you'll have a period of time to do this, again, outlined in the contract, so hopefully your realtor has communicated this to you. But make sure to reach out to a home inspector right away, so that way you give yourself enough time for them to do the inspection, and if there was something that came up during the home inspection, it gives you guys enough time to work towards and get it resolved. If you are needing a home inspector, I do have somebody who I recommend. They are absolutely phenomenal, the best I've ever worked with. They're extremely thorough. So if you didn't know anybody who was able to do a home inspection for you, be sure to reach out and I'll be happy to share that information with you. The third step is going to be reaching out to get homeowners insurance. Make sure you do not wait to do this. The absolute last thing you would want is to be a week or less away from your closing due date and you decide to call the insurance company just to find out that there are major complications with getting insurance. So don't wait, call right away. If you needed somebody, again, I have somebody for this too, you know the deal, so just reach out. I'll be happy to share that with you, but do not wait to do this. That way it will not put you in a bind when you're ready to close. Now, if you're feeling overwhelmed at this point or at any point during the buying process, don't be stressed. If you have any questions or you need help with anything, be sure to reach out to your realtor. That's what we're here for. We've done this process plenty of times, so we feel good about it. We've seen things happen and had to fix things that have been almost disastrous, so it's not an issue. Don't worry. Again, if you have any questions, just make sure you bring them up with us as soon as possible, and if not, just be in communication with us so that way we can guide you through to the closing process. If you're using financing, don't forget to keep your lender informed with what's going on. As we move through the process, there are things that they're going to have to do at various points and various levels. So they're going to have to order the appraisal and the survey if necessary. They're eventually going to have to fund the loan and get it all locked in. So make sure you're communicating with them so that way they don't get left behind or they don't know what's going on, and we can just move towards closing. Now, this is something your realtor should also be doing. So as we're moving towards closing, they're going to be in communication with yourself, the title company, the lender, if there's a lender involved, making sure we're all on the same page, we're meeting deadlines, and we are moving slowly but surely towards getting this closed. Once you make the escrow deposit, the home inspection has been completed, and you've reached out and you know you can get insurance and you're good to go, the next step is going to be examining and taking a look at the home inspection report to see what came up on that. Assuming you've used the standard contract like we briefly talked about earlier, if there were any issues that came up on the inspection report that are non-cosmetic, this is going to be the point where the seller is responsible for either repairing or replacing a certain number of those items. And if you were okay with them not being repaired, or if it was possible, you can also receive a credit sometimes towards your closing balance or towards your loan or something. But make sure you talk with your realtor to kind of figure out the ins and outs of what's going to be repaired, and you guys can renegotiate, sometimes lower the price. It's totally up to you, and it's very situational. So just talk with your realtor, and we'll work with you to get it taken care of. So once you're through the home inspection and everything's been taken care of for the repairs and the replacements, you are almost in the clear. There's only a few more steps. Now, the title company will have what is called a title commitment from when they do the title search. This basically shows anybody who has any type of ownership rights or the rights that are being transferred, or if there were any issues or clouds on title, as they are called sometimes, this is where that would be found. And after it is done and you receive your title commitment, if you have any questions or any questions about it beforehand, make sure to reach out to the title company so they could give you the best answers. So once you've received the title commitment and you guys have finished everything else, you're going to want to make sure you get the utility swapped over. Now, normally I recommend to do this about 3 days or so before closing, and that's because the utility companies don't want you to reach out too far in advance. So 2 to 3 days is generally perfect for getting the utilities swapped over, and make sure that you're having them switched over the day of closing, so that way they don't turn the power or water or anything like that off on you. And if you are having an appraisal or a survey done, this gets taken care of by your lender normally. So once they get both of those items back and everything else is done, you should get your clear to close letter that they sent to title, and that means you are cleared to close and ready to go. The very last step before closing is to schedule what is called a final walkthrough. And this is where you walk through the property, make sure that it has been maintained in good condition or the same condition as when you initially saw it, with a little bit of wear and tear expected to be standard. And if there were any repairs that you had requested to be done, this is also your time to make sure that any of those repair items or anything that was talked about that needed to be changed got changed, because otherwise when you guys go to closing, that's when you sign the documents, the home is officially yours. Whether you're planning on doing a remote closing or in person, so that would be signing documents electronically or signing them at the title company, regardless, you're going to get a bunch of papers to sign, and make sure you get some important documents to them and IDs and things like that. But once it's all taken care of and turned into them and you sign, congratulations, you have officially closed on your home. So at this point, you'll be presented with all of the house keys, post office keys, garage door openers, that type of thing, and all of your closing paperwork. They're going to give copies of all of that to you. And with the closing paperwork, you're going to take that over to the closest village's sales center, and they will give you information on your post office box, what the number is going to be, and the location. This will be where you get your village's ID as well as your gate pass that can beep you in and out of the communities. So with that said, thank you everyone for watching. If you stayed until the very end, again, make sure you smash the like button and be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any updates. I upload videos every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I really appreciate you guys watching. Again, press the like button and the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much, and until next time.